Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out.
Christine Brennan asked one simple question, and it shook the sports world. One player gets injured, and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Let that sink in. Half the audience.
Injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
Gone. Vanished the moment Caitlin Clark stepped off the court. That's not just a bad day at the office. That's a once-in-a-generation level of influence. Tiger Woods had it in golf. Michael Jordan had it in basketball. But this might be on an even bigger scale, because without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is staring down the barrel of an extinction-level crisis. The numbers are brutal. Nationally televised WNBA games have lost 55% of their viewers without her. Fever games went from nearly 2 million fans glued to their TVs to barely 800,000. That's not a dip. That's a cliff dive. The kind where you hit the water so hard the splash alone tells you something went very, very wrong. And it's not just TV. It's ticket sales, merch, sponsorships, everything. We're talking about the kind of free fall that turns momentum into Mayday. The ticket market? A disaster zone. Fever ticket prices collapsed by 71%.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media.
We're talking about seats that sold for $860 before her injury, now going for $250. Average ticket prices across her missed games fell from $137 to just $80. And here's the kicker. Road games that had been moved to bigger arenas because demand for Caitlin was so insane are now struggling to fill half the seats. Remember the Chicago Sky versus Fever rematch? The one that drew 2.25 million viewers last time? Yeah. Without Caitlin Clark, those tickets fell from $210 to $95, and the buzz vanished overnight. What was supposed to be one of the most anticipated games of the year became just another matchup nobody outside of hardcore fans bothered to watch. This should be the part where the league says, okay, we can't let this happen again. We need to protect our star. But the WNBA? They've seen this movie before, and somehow they still don't get it. This isn't the first time ratings and revenue have collapsed after their biggest star got hurt. It's like watching someone burn their hand on a hot stove, swear they'll never do it again, and then reach right back for it 5 minutes later. The physical targeting of Caitlin Clark has been obvious to anyone with a functioning pair of eyes. She takes more hard fouls than anyone in the league.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
Of the 30 flagrant fouls called in 2024, 5 were against her. That's over 16% against a single player, with the Chicago Sky responsible for 80% of those. And yet, the league's response is to shrug and call them basketball plays. It's laughable. If she reacts, she's too aggressive. If she doesn't, she's soft. No matter what she does, the narrative is rigged against her. And this isn't just about bruises and highlight reels. This is about business. At the end of this season, the WNBA goes into collective bargaining agreement negotiations. If the league can show growth, players could be looking at bigger salaries, better contracts, and better conditions across the board. But without Caitlin Clark on the floor, that leverage disappears. Sponsors who poured millions into the league expecting a Caitlin Clark boost are already asking themselves if they made a mistake. And if they pull out, the financial damage won't just be a problem, it'll be a crater. Because here's the truth, Caitlin Clark isn't just a star. She's the entry point for an entire generation of fans. Walk into any Fever game, and you'll see it for yourself. Thousands of kids in Caitlin jerseys, Iowa jerseys, Fever gear, even homemade shirts. Entire families showing up because their daughters saw Caitlin on TV and wanted to see her play in person. That's not just fandom, that's the pipeline for the sport's future. Without her, the WNBA loses the most powerful magnet it has ever had. Without Clark, the league reverts to its pre-spotlight era. 550,000 viewers per game, empty arenas, merch collecting dust in warehouses. That's not hypothetical. It's already happening. Sponsors aren't stupid. Networks aren't stupid.
All this hacking and fouling that goes on, she getting blindsided by Marina Mabrey. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if she gets...
If the product can't draw without one player, they will cut back their commitments faster than you can say ratings collapse. And yet, despite the glaring evidence, the league keeps acting like this is fine. Like hard fouls and letting them play is somehow part of the charm. Can you imagine the NBA letting LeBron James get targeted night after night without stepping in? They'd suspend half the league before they let that happen. But in the WNBA, they treat their biggest draw like she's expendable, like she's just another name on the roster. That decision has consequences, big ones. Fans are openly boycotting games she doesn't play in. Not out of spite for other players, but because they don't trust the league to treat the sport fairly. When your fans say they won't watch without your star because they don't believe in the integrity of the games, you've got a problem deeper than any injury report. The physical toll is another story the league is ignoring. Caitlin's first injury, a left quad strain.
It's tough. You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players, you don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I done seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
Already had her sidelined earlier in the season. Now it's a groin injury, likely from compensating for the quad. And if you rush her back, you risk something far worse. One major injury could take her out for a year or more. And if that happens, the WNBA's already fragile audience collapses entirely. The irony is painful. The league's failure to protect her is the very reason they're facing this crisis. She came into the WNBA humble, gracious, giving credit to her teammates, and handling criticism with poise that most 22-year-olds could never pull off. The league could have embraced her, protected her, used her as the foundation for long-term growth. Instead, they let petty jealousies and politics take over, and now they're paying the price. Corporate sponsors are quietly reassessing. TV networks are recalculating their projections. Merch sales are slowing. The golden goose is sitting on the sidelines, and the nest is starting to look very, very empty.
Yeah, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through this?
But maybe the most damning part is this. It was all preventable. Every flagrant foul, every cheap shot, every missed opportunity to send a message to the rest of the league, it all added up. The warning signs weren't subtle. They were flashing in neon. And the WNBA looked the other way. Now the ripple effects are spreading. Kids who were coming to their first WNBA games to see Caitlin play are leaving disappointed. Parents aren't making the long drives or spending hundreds on tickets when they know she won't be there. The excitement that was building since her college days at Iowa is evaporating, replaced by frustration and disillusionment. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about 2024. If the league keeps burning through its stars like this, they'll never build anything sustainable. Every time they get a boom, it'll be followed by a bust. Every time a player captures the national spotlight, they'll let her get knocked around until she's injured, and then wonder why nobody's watching. The solution isn't complicated. Protect your stars, enforce your rules, build around the players who move the needle. Stop chasing social media drama and start focusing on the actual game. Every day they wait, the damage gets worse. Every game without Caitlin Clark is another reminder of what the WNBA was before she arrived, and what it will be again if they don't wise up. The league has a choice to make. They can keep pretending this is just bad luck, or they can face the reality that Caitlin Clark is the WNBA right now. Not in theory, not in hype, in cold, hard numbers. Without her, the lights go dim, the seats go empty, the checks get smaller. And once sponsors and networks start pulling out, it's a long road back. So the question becomes, when Caitlin Clark finally returns, will it be in time to save the league she put on the map? Or will the WNBA have squandered the biggest opportunity it's ever had? All because they couldn't bring themselves to protect the player who made it matter in the first place.